Yo, what's good guys? It's your boy Griffin GFX back with a new series. Today I'm gonna be starting a series where I work on client projects and I show you everything that I do from the very start, the first messages the clients send, their ideas and their brief, how I communicate with them, and then how I step by step complete their project and send it to them at the end for you guys to learn a little bit about the behind the scenes of being a designer and to see the full creation process of logos being made by me for my clients. So the other day a client hit me up and they asked for a bit of a weird request, or at least at first I thought it was bizarre because it was a Y2K logo that they requested, but with an 80s aesthetic. So straight away I'm thinking Y2K, year 2000, and the 80s, how is that gonna work? This client is crazy. So then I made a mood board. I started pulling together a little inspiration page of my favorite logos created and inspired by the 80s, from the sort of raving disco culture all the way to like cafe and food restaurants. And then I looked at Y2K and what makes that special, from the symbols, the stars, the elements. And then I had a bit of a brainwave and thought, you know what, this actually could be a really cool logo. Taking the shiny, colorful vibrancy of the 80s aesthetic and bringing it into a more modern, simple and iconic Y2K look. When I'm completing these logos for you guys to watch from my clients, I will keep the clients anonymous unless they tell me that they'd like to be in the video, in which case I'll promote their business and drop the links and everything like that. Most videos in this series will probably be completed in Adobe. Episode 1 is sponsored by Kittl. I thought it was a perfect project to complete within Kittl, and you guys can see on the screen some of the stuff that I've created. The brief wasn't super specific other than giving me the brand name and the idea of merging 80s and Y2K. I didn't know that much. I didn't even know what their favorite colors were, which is why there's quite a variation in aesthetics and ideas. If I don't have a super detailed brief, I like to experiment in a couple different directions so that they can point me in the right direction and I can also help to inspire them. Sometimes clients come to me and everything's already perfectly visualized in their head. Other times they've got a basic idea and they actually want my help to bring it into fruition and give them a better idea of what they want, so we kind of brainstorm together. This client came from Fiverr and I completed it in Kittl, as I said. Once I'd got the aesthetic that I'd like down to a T within Kittl, I began using that as a template, which was really useful. I could then drag any assets, text, symbols, shapes into Kittl, copy and paste the style that I'd already created, a bit like a Photoshop layer style, onto the new design, and then within seconds it looked amazing. And using the Kittl color palette editor, I could very quickly try green, blue, red. I could try whatever color I wanted, and a lot of them naturally have an 80s look because they're sort of shiny with multiple colors blending in together in one bit of text or in one logo, which is perfect for this aesthetic. So without further ado, I'm gonna cue the design process for you guys to watch. Okay, so right off the bat, the first thing I did once I was inside Kittl, I pulled up on my second monitor the 80s disco retro vibrant text and used it as an example, and I made a template inside of Kittl where I attempted to create the same gradient, because I figured once I had that gradient I could change the colors of it pretty easily, and then I could use that as a template to copy and paste onto the logos once they're ready. So I used the text tool, I typed out gradient, I went over to the color, and instead of solid color I select a linear gradient. From there, I was looking back and forth to my other monitor at how the 80s gradients look, and I began to make my own as best as I could. And once I had one that I liked, I simply changed the color of it. So I had a gold one, a purple one, red one, green one. I then added a very small stroke to the outside of each of the layers. And then the final thing I did is put a bit of an outer glow onto the text, which I thought added a very important final touch to make these layer styles really pop out. Now is the fun part where you get to actually design the logo. So Kittl has so many elements which you can use. You can drag and drop them and they're all copyright free. And I just began to brainstorm. I began to create random things. A lot of it I didn't like and ended up scrapping, but some of it remained and became the final designs, which I handed over to the client. Don't be afraid to try things you think will work, try things you think might not work, and you'll just learn as you go what works best and what doesn't. I made some really cool ones, but I forgot to record that, so I had to start again. So yeah, I gradually played with the name Superfloat using a bunch of different fonts and different elements, basically creating designs that I think look cool. I then went into the other tab where I created the template for the gradients, and I picked different gradients. I copied the gradient style and I pasted it onto these logos, and then just like that, within a few clicks, you have something that looks really cool and on theme with what this client has asked me for. And by doing this and filling up the sheets, this is essentially how I came up with the final outcomes, which you will see in a moment. You know, once you bring those layers together and paste it on, I think it looks so amazing. And it really does something to the Y2K look, which is usually very flat and minimalistic. Even though it's an 80s theme, I think it somehow adds a futuristic look. It's hard to explain this style of artwork, but it's a very fun client project. Drop a like if you like this style of video. You can find my packs and assets on griffingfx.com, as well as some merchandise if you want to support me. And until the next video, guys, I hope you all love yourselves, and that is me out. One lover, mother yubbers. Bye bye.